Okay, let's talk about something that can feel, well, pretty daunting: peer review. We're going to break down how to give feedback that doesn't just check a box, but actually helps someone make their work better. Let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? You've got your colleague's work in front of you, a totally blank form, and you're just stuck. The cursor is blinking, and you have no idea where to even start. That feeling of being totally lost, we are going to fix that right now. Believe it or not, there's a structured way to turn that confusion into clarity. It's a simple framework that breaks the whole task down into easy, manageable steps. And the result? Your feedback is always going to be valuable. So let's build that framework together. So where do we start? Well, not with a red pen, that's for sure. The foundation of any really good peer review is a simple but super powerful technique called the two-read strategy. Here's how it works. On your first pass, just read it. Seriously, don't worry about critiquing or editing. Just get the gist of the main ideas and how it's all put together. Then, on the second read, you can put on your analyst hat. This is when you start really looking at the details with a critical eye. Separating these two steps is a total game changer because it stops you from getting lost in the weeds right away. Okay, once you've got that foundation, it's time to do the deep dive. This is where we really start to analyze the heart of the work, starting with its main argument. The very first thing you need to figure out is this. Is the writer summarizing the original author's ideas, or are they accidentally injecting their own opinions? A really effective summary has to be objective and factual. Your job as a reviewer is to catch those spots where it might be drifting into a personal reaction. So to check this, you can run through a little mental checklist. Ask yourself, does this summary really truly represent the original material? Are there places where the writer's own interpretation might be coloring the author's original point? Answering these questions helps you figure out exactly where your feedback is going to be the most useful. All right, so after you've looked at the big picture, the main argument, it's time to zoom in on the details. We need to look at the specific evidence the writer uses, and that means paying close attention to things like quotes and verbs. You know, it's not enough to just drop a quote into a paragraph and call it a day. It really matters how that quote is integrated. A quote that just appears out of nowhere doesn't do much work. It needs to be introduced and woven right into the writer's own sentences. So here are a few things to look for. Are the quotes properly introduced, or do they kind of just pop up? Is there a good balance, or is the text just a long string of other people's words? And remember, your goal isn't just to say, this is wrong. It's to suggest specific ways they can make it better. Now, this might seem like a small thing, but trust me, verb choice can totally change the meaning of a summary. Does the original author just say something, or do they argue it or critique it or maybe insist on it? Pushing your peer to use more precise, descriptive verbs like these will instantly make the writing sound way more sophisticated. We've analyzed the argument and we've examined the evidence. Now it's time for the final polish. We're talking about those technical details that take a good piece of writing and make it a great one. This last check is all about the nitty-gritty. Are the citations in the right format? Is it written in present tense and in the third person, which is pretty standard for this kind of writing? Is the tone professional? Catching these little things shows a real level of care and makes the whole thing feel so much more polished. Okay, you've done all the hard work. You've read, you've analyzed, you've got a ton of notes. So now what? How do you pull all of that together into a final assessment that's actually helpful and, encouraging? The absolute key here is balance. Your feedback should always highlight what's working well and what could be better. And a pro tip, always start with the strengths. It builds trust and makes the writer so much more open to hearing the constructive criticism you have to offer. And hey, if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. Just saying yes or no is pretty much useless feedback. The most valuable thing you can possibly do is be specific. Quote their sentences, explain why something is confusing or why a particular point is so strong. Specificity is everything. At the end of the day, your job isn't to be a judge, it's to be a guide. The real goal is to give your peer a clear roadmap that helps them improve their own work. If you go into it with that mindset, your feedback will always be effective. By following a framework like this, you're doing so much more than just critiquing a paper. You're actually becoming a partner in helping your colleague grow into a stronger, more confident writer. So the next time you open up a peer review form, you'll be ready to give feedback that really, truly makes a difference.